What's up, guys? We are back for a new NECA Toys review, taking a look at a line that I've never touched from them before, but that's definitely changing because of what they've just started putting out, and I'm sure I'm going to get lost in this line to a degree anyway. But today we're looking at the Terminator 2 Future War Metal Mash Terminator. This guy is a big nostalgia trip for me because this is one of the KENNER homage Terminator figures. So back in '92, KENNER had a pretty extensive line of T2 figures, all wacky 90s, extreme, radical kind of variant type stuff, and this guy was among the mix. So NECA's made this figure in their style with their endoskeleton figure done up in the gold colorway. And the big thing about this particular line, like all of the other stuff they do for KENNER inspired properties, is the packaging. So this thing perfectly emulates the KENNER artwork. You can see we've got the figure here in a big, humongous bubble. We've got the exact same kind of artwork that KENNER line had, the same font, the same everything. We've got the NECA logo down there in the bottom in KENNER style, and then the back of the package has cross-sell and a bio, but it's all done up in the exact same style that the original cross-sell was done in the vintage line. So just a lot of cool stuff going on with this thing. I really dig everything about NECA's presentation when it comes to this type of toy, so I'm really excited to take a look at this. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. Alright guys, here he is out of the package, our KENNER Tribute Metal Mash Terminator. And like I said, this guy holds a lot of nostalgia for me because I was really into Terminator as a kid, and I absolutely loved this toy line from KENNER. It was all that weird 90s stuff where everything had a million variants, and I just ate that stuff up. My figures did not survive my childhood though, so when I saw that NECA was putting out some tribute figures, I just knew that I had to take a look at them, even though I've never bought a Terminator figure from them until now, and I think that's gonna change. So this guy is interesting. There are 3 figures that are coming out. This guy, we've got the white hot T1000, the one that changes color, and then we've got the beautiful Power Arm Terminator, which is the main one that I want. But this figure is interesting because he's one of those that you kind of get a loss of articulation for the sake of design. That said, I'm not so sure that I'm really concerned about it because of the fact that it's a robot skeleton and he just looks fantastic. So we're going to take a look at articulation first as usual, see how this guy moves around because there's definitely some surprises basically everywhere on this figure. So we'll start at the head, and you can rotate it slightly. The head is on a ball. The neck also seems to rotate, but it's very hindered. And mine does seem to be a little tight, so keep that in mind. But there are wires that actually hold it down. So as you might expect, a lot of the joints on this figure are actually connected with cables, wires, and in almost every instance, pistons, hydraulics, stuff like that, to really hammer home the design here. So while it can move, it is pretty limited, so just watch out. The arms can go like that, which is quite far. They can rotate, but there are cables on each side, but they can still go pretty far. I haven't had any issues or really any worry with that. We've got bicep swivel, so robo biceps. You have got a single jointed elbow, and this is where we start to see some of the pistons and the hydraulics. You can actually see those move. And then we have got rotation at the wrist. That's it. There's no hinges there. There is a waist twist, and what's really cool is when you actually twist this guy, you can see the hydraulics move with him. So I just think that's really cool. It's a lot of little things like that that kind of bring out the fun factor in this figure for me. Legs go almost all the way out. I mean, that's further than you really need. The forward kick on them is really weird. You almost feel like it's going to break, but then it's not. It's designed to do this. It's just, you know, you've got these extra pieces here. So these hydraulic pieces are connected with little flaps on the front and on the back. So you have to work with those. And they're all connected with metal pins. So just keep all of that in mind. You want to be cautious with this guy. He is definitely a little fragile, so don't get me wrong there. He definitely can move, but he is a little fragile. You've got a single jointed knee, but it goes further than 90, so that's pretty solid. And then at the feet, all you have is rotation, and then we have got toe articulation. I kind of wish they didn't have these because it does make them kind of hard to stand up. They are a little floppy and flimsy when you get them posed, just because of the fact that feet have actual balls down there because of how the skeleton is designed. So he can stand up fine, you just kind of have to find the sweet spot. But in general, he is articulated, but like I said, he's one of those where you kind of have to lose some articulation, some dynamic movement for the sake of the design, because frankly, there's no way you could make him really, really hyper-articulated without making him into something that he's not. Now, as far as the overall look and feel on this guy, I think in general that he just looks amazing, frankly. I love everything about the way NECA has designed this thing, and frankly, I'm surprised that I have never bought a T800 figure from them until now, so I have a feeling, like I said, that's probably going to change, because now I need a regular one. But this thing just looks fantastic, and again, mentioning all of the hydraulics and the pistons and all of that type of stuff, the actual working mechanics of this figure really make him shine, at the expense of some articulation, but to me, I'd much rather him look good and be slightly under-articulated than be an over-articulated mess that doesn't look right. So I'm pretty happy with the way he looks. Of course, this is not your standard T800. He has been, per the bio on the back, reprogrammed and used by the Resistance. So this is a good Terminator. And he is gold underneath, kind of a dirty bronze gold color. We have got a tampoed logo, 7550, with a barcode. It's kind of hard to see in there because there's actually sculpt work underneath it, but you've got some tampo work down there, and just in general, everything is really nicely sculpted. Everything has a wash on it, so he's definitely not clean by any means. The blacks are super saturated and very black. There's just tons and tons of piping and, you know, mechanical work inside the chest cavity of this thing. You've got a lot of very skeletal, robotic looking pieces that run down the arms with more of those hydraulic works, and then of course the legs just have a lot of sculpt in there. The feet, even the feet, have a lot of sculpted detail in there to make them look like, you know, foot bones and toe bones. And then of course on the back side there's even more. I do have one small little QC issue on this figure that I definitely can fix. These guys back here are actually movable. I'm not sure what they're supposed to do in terms of the figure itself, but this one's kind of bent. I can just heat it up and bend it back though. But otherwise you've got a lot more sculpt work back here and kind of the ruminations of a robotic spine down there, which I think is just fantastic. So, you know, he is a little under-articulated, which I've already harped about a bit, but I think he just looks stellar, and it's just amazing looking figure. So in general, if you like Terminator robots and you like the endoskeletons, these guys really do look the part just very well. As for the head, this is its own thing, really, because there's a lot going on up here. In general, it's another instance where everything is sculpted incredibly well, a lot of attention to detail. You've got those sculpted teeth, tons and tons of line work, just tons of detail with more of that wash in there. And I mean, you know, you can't really go wrong with the design of the Terminator endoskeleton. It's iconic. It just is a fantastic, cool look, and I think NECA has captured it incredibly well. Now, the one thing that's different with this guy, though, is that we do have a bit of an action feature. Well, not really action feature, but they do have a special feature with this figure. So this guy has light up eyes. Sort of. He has light piping, and it actually runs in from the back of the head, so there's this big spot at the top of the head, and without being too primitive here, we're just going to use my phone for this, and we can shine a light in there, and you can see that his eyes will light up if you put some light on him. So pour some light on the top of this guy, and he will light up just like in the movie, and there's absolutely no way that that's not the coolest feature on this guy. Outside of the fact that he does look fantastic, the light up eyes is just stellar. Excellent idea on NECA's part. Now, as far as accessories goes, we've got the very appropriate and singular accessory for this figure. We've got the kind of futuristic pulse-type rifle that they have in the source material, so it very much works here. It's done up in a kind of gunmetal-y black with some red accents. Mine, unfortunately, is a little warped out of the package. I have a feeling this is probably going to be an issue with a lot of them, just based on how this thing sits in the tray, but heat it up and it'll pop back into place just fine. I have not done it yet, just for the sake of review, but I think it works very well. He really doesn't have anything else that you could give him, so this is the perfect accessory. He can hold it, as you can see here, with both hands, or you can, you know, do a single-handed pose as well. It is a little tricky to get it in his right hand. It's the only one that he can actually hold it in because he's got the trigger finger there. But once it's in there, it's definitely not coming out. So yeah, it's kind of the perfect accessory, and it goes with him just fine. So overall, I am about as happy as I think I could be with this figure. He does have his issues here and there just because of the fact that it is under-articulated, so it can be a little difficult to get him into maybe some more dynamic poses. But for me, this This thing really just needs to look imposing and intimidating, and it does that just standing straight up, frankly. So I'm really, really happy with it. It definitely hits all the nostalgia buttons for me because I am such a fan of Terminator in general, but specifically that line of toys that really goes back to my childhood. So that's a really big thing for me. And as usual, NECA absolutely kills it when they do these Kenner homage figures. So it's a fantastic figure. If you are even remotely interested in that line or just wackier Terminator stuff, I'd say give this one a look. And frankly, I've been humming the Terminator music basically the entire time I've been doing this review. So there's definitely going to be some more figures coming. I'm going to get my hands on the rest of this homage set, and then I'm sure I'm going to pick up a few of the older ones as well because that's just what I do. So that's going to do it for this look at the NECA Toys Kenner homage Metal Mash Terminator. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.